Okay, there's some seats in the front here for the guys standing at the back. There's some seats available here, nice and close to the front. Okay, good afternoon everybody, and thank you for being here. It's a very special day at Aerobotics as we look to launch this product, and we're extremely excited to share it with all of you. My name is Tim Willis. I'm a fairly recent addition to the Aerobotics team. I'm the CFO and also the head of growth. So that means I count all the money and then spend it. Aerobotics started about 4 years ago to solve farmers' problems. And today we're here to take you through some of our new and our latest innovative solutions. In Franschhoek, we're extremely humbled to have nearly 200 guests. We have over 100 farmers, 75 representatives from corporates, as well as members from the media, government, students, and our very important drone operators who make everything possible. But that's only Franschhoek. We're also extremely excited to host another 10 events around the country at the same time today. So you can see on my left and my right various events occurring at the same time. It means that you've only got a few of us from the Aerobotics team, but there are 35 of us at the moment, and we're spread across the country. So James, the CEO, is here, Leah and Amanda from our marketing team, Sean and Adam from our tech team, and Abu from our ops team, with the rest of the guys being spread around the country. So we're going to try and bring the other guys in to live stream now, and they're going to join our event in Franschhoek. Cool. Maybe let's just give them a second. The guy's on. Okay. Cool. And we can go to me being videoed now. Great. We'd now like to welcome all of our guests around the country, and most importantly, our growers. We wanted to launch our new products, but didn't know where. Our clients are across the country, and we want to make sure that we're building a community, receiving feedback, and getting insights from each grower across the country, and everybody who's using the Aerobotics platform has the opportunity to interact with us and give us that feedback and really be part of it. So that led us to the idea that maybe we should do it all at the same time and get everybody at the same time in the same venue and launch it all together. Today we have events in Sandton, Pretoria, Zeneen, Hartswater, Potensie, Kirkwood, San Lemire on the south coast in KwaZulu-Natal, Natal Midlands, Citrusdal, Nelspruit, and here in Franschhoek. We had an event planned in Vero Beach, Florida, in the United States, where we've started adding some clients. But unfortunately, Hurricane Michael got the better of us. So that one won't be happening at the moment. Our thoughts today are with our growers and our team based in Florida. Of course, I asked my team when we were planning this event, what could go wrong? 11 venues, 7 provinces, 800 guests, and at times some average internet. So we're doing our best to keep everybody connected today. However, if the internet does go down at one of our venues, don't panic. All of our events have great leads who will take over and jump into the presentation at the same time. Today would not have been possible without our awesome sponsors, Nedbank headlining the event, Daisy Business Solutions, Landbou Weekblad, Agri SA, MicroSense, Promac, and Rectron. Our co-founders, James and Benji, met while studying at UCT. They were studying mechatronics engineering. And together they founded Aerobotics 4 years ago after James returned from doing his master's at MIT and Benji from doing his master's at Imperial London. Benji is our CTO today, and he's based in Sandton. James is here in Franschhoek with us, and I'm going to ask him to take us through our very exciting product launch. Thanks, James.
That's fine. Hello, everyone. It's very exciting for me to be here today and to speak to so many of you around the country. If you'd said to me 4 years ago that I'd be speaking at 11 events at the same time, I wouldn't have believed you, but that's what happens when your company grows a bit and you hire a marketing team that can organize this kind of thing. I'm from a citrus farm in Citrusdal Clanwilliam area, so my parents are actually in one of those events, so I hope that one goes well as well, otherwise I won't hear the end of that. But yeah, for us it's exciting to be speaking to so many growers because we want to make sure that when we're developing this product, that we're developing it alongside you and for your needs. So today, that's why we brought all of you together here to tell you what we're working on currently and also the direction we're going so that we can constantly get feedback from you and make sure that you're aligned with where we're going. So as most of you will know, Aerobotics is a company that helps farmers monitor their orchards and their vineyards to find problems early on, mostly pest and disease problems, and then make a correction as soon as possible to not lose yield or to not have damage on the farm. So as a company, we're really pushing the boundaries of what's possible with new technology, but it's always interesting to first look back at how technology has progressed on the farm over the years. So about 10,000 years ago, us as farmers were farming using manual tools. We're farming small areas of land for ourselves or for our small communities to feed ourselves. Then in the 1900s came a big change. The mechanical era brought around tractors and combine harvesters that farmers could use to farm much larger areas of land more efficiently. And that's when farming became commercial. In the 1950s through to the 1990s came the chemical and biochemical era, where farmers could now spend more money on inputs, so buy fertilizers to generate more outputs, and use things like pesticides to keep pests and disease under control. And we're now in the digital era. And what's exciting about the digital era is it's no longer about spending more money on inputs to get more outputs. It's about using data to detect problems early on, make a correction early on, and to manage our farm much more efficiently. And in this digital era, it's now possible to monitor every single tree. We can track each tree over time, detect how that tree is doing, and even what is affecting that tree. So this, for example, here is a citrus tree that's been reconstructed using our drone imagery. But why would we want to monitor each tree on the farm? Well, we know that it's important to go out into the field to collect data, also known as scouting. We can pick pests and disease problems up early on that can save us a lot of money or even save our whole crop in certain cases. But still, farmers are experiencing big losses due to pest and disease each year, up to 15% in the fruit industry. And apart from this, diseases like Phytophthora take out tens of thousands of trees each year, and leaf roll is a big problem in the grape industry. So why is this still happening? Well, the current way of collecting data is difficult. Because farms are so big, we can only cover part of the field. So we can only take a few samples within the field to check those areas. This means that we've actually got quite a low accuracy in the data. So we're checking a few areas, but there could be something happening elsewhere. And we've got a lack of trust in our scouts. We don't always know that they're going to the right place, doing their job, checking the right places. So we don't know whether to trust the data coming back from our scouts. And finally, poor documentation. So I know a lot of farmers that do scouting in their heads. They'll walk through the orchard, which is fine, but it's difficult to track this across different orchards or to monitor over time whether your issues are getting worse or improving. So at Aerobotics, we use an important decision on whether to take action or not. Our AeroView software currently serves over 100,000 hectares of farmland across 11 countries, but about 85% of our client base sits here in South Africa, and we're busy expanding into the US. So we mentioned Florida and California earlier on. We're lucky to work with some of the most innovative farming groups, as well as the most innovative consulting groups, to make sure that we're constantly aligning our product with what they need. So let me take you through what this AeroView system currently does, and then I'll take you through some new developments that we've made and our plans going forward this season. There's one new technology that we're working on that we'd like to develop alongside you this season coming forward. So first of all, I think a lot of farmers would have used this type of information before. We provide a weekly satellite health map. This here shows dense vegetation, strong vegetation in dark green, down to severe stress or bare soil in red. So you can use this picture here, for example, to see areas in your field that need attention. For example, over here, you'll see a light patch within a dark green patch. That could be a low stand count within the field. It could be a pest and disease that needs investigation. And what's great about this data is, although it's low resolution, you get it every 5 days. So you can compare how your field is tracking, and you can even compare your field against the last 3 years. So you can see how it's performing relative to then. We then take that a step further with our drone imagery, which is probably what we're most known for. So we use drones to collect high-resolution visual and multispectral imagery that can't be seen with a human eye. We then run that imagery through our machine learning algorithms to detect each tree and pull insights for each individual tree. And why this is important is because we are now taking imagery and turning each tree into a data point that we can track over time, or compare to other trees in the orchard, or compare to other trees in the industry of the same variety, for example. So for each tree, we provide the tree health, as well as physical measurements, height, canopy area, and volume. And then we provide statistics for the orchard as a whole. So you can see here, this orchard has 749 trees within the orchard, and this is a distribution of the canopy area within that orchard. But what's probably most important is the per tree health layer, or the per vine health layer now that we've started developing, or it's ready to go this season. And this shows the tree health. Again, dark green, the tree's performing well, down to red, the tree's under severe stress. So instead of, as a farmer, you walking through the orchards looking for these trees, this shows you straight away which trees need attention, and you can just focus on those. And this type of data is becoming more and more essential in farming. We spend 5, 6, 7 years bringing a tree into full production, so it then becomes an asset that's generating revenue for us each year. And if we don't monitor that tree, we can lose yield if it's under stress, or often lose the whole tree if we don't detect things like Phytophthora fast enough. But what's probably most important here is how this data links with what's happening in the field. So farmers can use this aerial data, either the drone or satellite, to plan in-field data collection missions with our targeted scouting app. So here, for example, I've used this histogram on the bottom left to filter out just the trees that are under stress. So I've just selected the red trees here that show up on my map, and I've then planned a targeted scout route. So I click on each tree that I want to investigate, and that route gets sent through to our scouting app that uses GPS to guide you to that tree, where you can then collect data. So you can do the diagnosis, mark pest and disease on that tree, as well as take notes, photos, and even voice notes. So it's quite nice to take some voice notes in the field It's all GPS referenced, so you can go back there in the future. And that data then all pulls back from the field into your AeroView account, so you can really see what's happening in your orchards. To show you another example, this is one of our clients in series. This is Robert Zulch, who uses this on his apple farm to set up scout routes for his scouts. He's got 2 scouts working on the farm. And what's nice here is that after the scouts have used this simple app to collect data, he can see on the map that data has been collected at each one of these points. So he knows he can trust the information. The scout has been there and collected the data. And the system marks the scout route as complete. So you can quickly look at the scout routes you've set up, which need to be done by your scout still, and which are completed. Then the system uses that GPS reference data to generate a simple report, but it's quite powerful. So looking on the right there is his report for codling moth. And while most of the farm is clear, there are a couple of hotspots where it's been detected. So you can decide whether to go into just those orchards to take action, or if his levels are satisfactory for this week and he wants to check next week again. But don't worry, we've got you covered. We know we're developing a lot of new technology, and it's running on a smartphone and it's running on a laptop. So we've recently improved our training system. So we make sure to spend time with you as the farmer and your managers, but also with your scouts in the field to make sure that they understand how to collect this data and then sync the data back up into the platform. So as a quick recap of where we are at the moment, AeroView is a pest and disease management system, an early warning system that uses satellite imagery to show problems early, high-resolution drone imagery that tracks each tree. That aerial data, satellite and drone, links to a targeted scouting system that makes your trips into the field more efficient. And finally, we generate simple but powerful reporting to help you make the right decisions at the right time. So at this stage, I want to hand over to Andrew Burdock, who's our COO, who's going to take you through the different packages we provide and how you can get started.
At Aerobotics, our passion is farming and helping farmers get the most out of their crops by using technology. We've built some of the world's most advanced drone data analytics for tree crop and vineyard farmers and want to make this technology as accessible as possible to farmers around the world. We're all about building a product that adds real value to a farmer and to his bottom line. We're so passionate about revolutionizing farming that we made our base platform free to any farmer who wants to sign up around the world. We believe that this base package brings efficiency and will reduce costs to our farmers, but also provide a gateway to get a glimpse of the power of the intelligent drone data. We call this package Smart Scouting. Smart Scouting allows you to set up your farm on AeroView, receive 2 years of historical satellite data, plus weekly new satellite data to keep a high-level view of your crop health and its moisture levels. It allows you to download our AeroView Scout app and move your scouting operation into the digital era, allowing you to manage your scouts' movements effectively and to implement management practices based on the geotag scout findings. But the real power comes from the drone data and our advanced analytics. Our core package is a seasonal package that incorporates all of the smart scouting solutions, plus 3 drone flights a year from our licensed drone pilot partners. All of this for just 40 Rand per hectare per month. So to recap, it's free to get up and running. Sign your farm up, set up its boundaries, and use our scouting app today. And for just 40 Rand per hectare per month, you can get the full drone data.
Thanks. And what Andrew also didn't mention there is we've got a package where farmers can actually fly their own drones and just have us do the analysis. So I know there are a few farmers that like to fly their own drones or to have their own systems on the farm. Also today we've got a promotional code as a small thank you for all joining us today. So if you enter that on the screen there, then you'll get a discount on the season coming up. And yes, I'd like to say that we're about to go into some new launches. So I'm about to take you through some new innovations that we're working on that will form part of these packages. So I really encourage you to work with us this season because there's especially one technology that, that we're very, very excited about. So we know that we believe that currently we've already got a great product. I've presented it before, and farmers are making use of this product around the country. We know there have been some growing pains along the way, but that's because we like to develop fast and we're constantly pushing for new innovation. So the entire team in Cape Town, just over 30 of us, have been working tirelessly on some new innovations. And I'd actually like to let some of the team themselves take you through the first few of these, whereafter I'll take over again. So first of all, Benji is our CTO. And co-founder of the company, and he'll take us through the first one.
To help you identify problem trees more easily, we're doing it for you. We're using machine learning algorithms trained on millions of trees, using metrics like tree canopy area and health, as well as expert knowledge and ground data from the field, to automatically identify problems on a tree-by-tree basis. Taking this a step further, this data can be fed into our Scout app, where you can now walk into the field targeting the trees that need help. This allows you to maximize your time in the field, and once on the ground, you can diagnose specifically what the problem is and come up with the corrective control. Of course, you can still complete your existing scouts, such as soil and leaf samples, marking traps, or collecting infield data.
Great. And then as Benji mentioned, not only are we using this data to find problem trees automatically, it then gets sent through to your phone as a scout route. So this means if you fly a drone, or if a drone is being flown for you, you don't actually have to go and search through the data. You get sent a route to walk in the field. So we're trying to do as much of this analysis in the background and just give you the most simple tools that you need as a farmer. Next, Naz will take us through another one.
Our clients have been asking for ways to analyze trends over time, and we've heard you. Today, we are happy to announce a new reporting tool which helps you track pests and diseases on a weekly basis. Our innovative reporting tool helps you track pest levels, decide when to take action, and see its related impact. Looking at the example on screen, we can see that this particular farmer sprayed for thrips, and the issue was resolved the following week. This reporting makes management decisions easy.
Thanks, Naz. And I want to mention here that this might look very simple to you, right? It might look like it's not a big innovation, but we like to hide a lot of what's happening in the background and just give you the information you need to make decisions. So what we've spoken about here, this will be available in your accounts. If you go into AeroView, by the end of next week, you'll have a new reporting system, and if you fly a drone, you'll have your new problem scouts set out. But what we're most excited about today is a new technology that we believe is going to change the way data is collected in the field. And we call that technology drone scouting. So we've spoken about satellite imagery that is fairly low resolution, 10-meter resolution. Then we took that further to monitoring each tree using drone data. But this technology here will be able to collect imagery at sub-millimeter resolution. So this opens up a whole new range of possibilities. Basically, anything you can see at that sort of resolution, we are aiming to pick up with machine learning algorithms. So let me take you through how this would work. This, for example, here is a potato field. This is the satellite data of that, okay? So we can clearly see here that part of that field is showing some sort of stress relative to the rest from the satellite data. So we planned a scouting route. This is similar to the route you would do with your normal Scout app. And we use the Drone Scout app to do the investigation there. So the drone automatically flies to those points, takes this high-resolution imagery. That's an example of the picture over there. And feeds that back into the system. So we can see very quickly, within a few minutes, that this system has detected a low stand count in the bottom relative to the top. So as a farmer, then we can work out this is a planting problem, and we can either make a correction or to decide not to go forward with that part of the field. This is what the platform actually looks like. This is our drone scouting app, and that is AeroView on the right. And what you will do to get started here is you plan a scouting route as you would do normally. So as Robert Zord said, it's a scouting route out for a scout, you do the same thing here. It then sends that to the drone, and the drone uses, our scouting app uses the drone's obstacle avoidance system to get within 1 meter of the target. So it'll get within 1 meter of the tree, and it will take high-resolution imagery. That data is then fed back into the AeroView account, so you'll see pins on the map wherever the drone has taken this data, and you'll see an extremely high-resolution sub-millimeter image of the target. So this app is available, it's built, and we are in the early phase of sending this out to clients, so we've got a few slots available for testing this as clients, and we'd like to make that available to you. So if anyone has their own drone and is interested in using this on the farm, please get hold of us and we'll get you set up with this system. But really, this system is a way of collecting data in the field, right? So this isn't all. What's the real value is what we can see in this high-resolution image. So we're taking things now down to a leaf and fruit level. For example, here we can see deficiencies in the leaves. We can see toxicity. Flowers and fruit can be detected, thrips damage, and bud mite damage. So basically, this can see anything that us as a human can see if we stand close to the tree. This will be able to detect. So we're extremely excited about this. We're working on a number of problems this season across our various industries. So we're working on pest and disease detection, but then also detecting flowers and fruit to help with better yield estimates going forward. So I'd like to let Michael, who's our lead data scientist, take you through where we stand at the moment.
We spent days in the field collecting thousands of images of both potato blight and thrips in citrus. Our agronomists have painstakingly labeled this data to create one of the most detailed databases of this kind in the world. We've now fed this data into our machine learning systems to create predictive abilities to detect these diseases in your crops. We've achieved precisions of 80 to 90%, and we look forward to rolling out this predictive ability to a wider range of crops to work with you in the future.
On how this works and how machine learning works for those that are interested, is the drone just collects high-resolution imagery. We then use our agronomists to label these problems and classify them. Once we've got hundreds or thousands of examples like this, the machine learning can learn to recognize the problem by itself going forward. So it's quite powerful, and it's teaching the software similar to the way a human would learn. And with that, it brings to a close our product launch and our new innovations. And as I mentioned before, we'd love to work with you, and we'd love to get feedback with you now that you know that from you. Now that you know the type of technology we're developing and what it could do, tell us the main problems you're having on the farm and work with us to use this technology to solve them. So we've set up an email address here, feedback@aerobotics.com. And if you could send us your ideas on that, even general ideas on what you think, that would be fantastic. So looking forward to working with you this season. And at Aerobotics, we always believe the future is now.
Often we think of the future as something far away, distant, forever around the corner, until it catches up to us. We can't predict the future, but we can prepare for it. Imagine you could determine if a single tree or an entire field was pest-ridden, diseased, or in need of attention from the touch of a screen. What would you do today to fix tomorrow if you knew how? Imagine if an application automatically planned a scout route for a drone to assess potential threats in your field and diagnose the pest or disease causing stress. All without leaving your home. Imagine a tomorrow free of yesterday's limitations. The truth is, you don't have to imagine, because with Aerobotics' new innovations, the future is within your grasp. Today brings a new dawn. Tomorrow is now.
Thanks very much, James. That was awesome. We now have a very special experience planned. We want to show you what it will be like to go drone scouting in virtual reality. So we've asked our panelists to be part of this experience with us to start with. So each venue has a set of virtual reality goggles, and we're going to ask some of the members at each venue, as well as ours, to actually experience it firsthand, and then as soon as we finished in this session, everyone will be able to experience it themselves outside of the venue. So if I can just ask our panelists and farmers to get up, and then we're going to give them the goggles, and we'll start the experience. On our screen, we're going to have a 2D version of what they're experiencing in 3D. Cool. You guys want to go for it? Abu? Yeah. Yeah. Can we play the video? 2D video. Take this off now. Yeah, thanks. Okay, so we're going to move on to the panel. I invite Chris Burgess, who's the editor of Landbouwweekblad, who's going to moderate our panel, and our other panel members to join us on stage. Thank you very much.
Hello. Good. Hi, how are you? Good. We've met.
Hello, Chris.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
Right. Good afternoon. I was asked to do the session in English, so verskoon maar dat dan nie Afrikaans is vanmiddag nie. My name is Chris Burgess. I'm editor of Landbouwweekblad, the biggest Afrikaans farming media brand in the world. That is my joke for the day. It's a great honor and privilege to moderate this panel discussion at an event hosted by arguably one of South Africa's leading ag tech companies, and I'm pleased to say a business partner of Landbouwweekblad, and it's a partnership that will hopefully not only transform the face of agriculture, but also help to substantially improve farmers' profitability and bottom lines, keep farmers on the land, and ensure that our magazine has a readership going into the future. And I just want to wish James and his team all the best on this very important journey. And also just to congratulate them on the several world firsts that they have achieved with their technology. It's really, with the Springboks back in the running, it's really good to see South Africans achieving at this scale. Our panel today consists of Miriam Altman. She's an economist, strategist, academic, and a member of the National Planning Commission, who's joining us via live stream from Sandton in Johannesburg. Do we have her online? She's online? Hello. Oh, there we go. Right. Welcome, Miriam. Then we have Hein Gerber, a consultant with First Fruits Consultancy and a farmer himself. Agri-SA's Jan Serabe, who heads up their Natural Resources Division. And finally, John Hudson, Head of Agriculture at Nedbank and also one of the funders of Aerobotics. For those of you who would like to tweet, please use the handle #Aerobotics and the hashtag Future of Farming. That's all lowercase, one word. Miriam, let's start with you. We all know about South Africa's acute employment crisis, and we also know that the National Development Plan envisaged the creation of about 1 million jobs in high-value irrigation industries. What do you think should we get into place to make this reality, and how do you think this sort of technology will help us to create the jobs that we need?
Well, this is a very hard technology to work with, so please bear with me. I've got an echo and I can't hear myself. Look, we know jobs are a challenge, and the NDP says that reforms. What we argue essentially is that irrigated land should be expanded by around 30% or a third, so from about 1.5 million hectares to 2 million hectares, which would be quite a thing to do. And the area that Aerobotics is in is a key area that we focus on. So, citrus, grapes, subtropical fruit like avos are key areas in addition to vegetables, which is maybe less of an area for Aerobotics. What we need to do, certainly the audience is French, I don't think I can tell them anything they don't know. Tenure, extension, support biosecurity, phytosanitary standards, extension of irrigation, and water use. All those things. There's nothing I can tell you that you don't know. The interesting thing about Aerobotics is, and they've certainly made me think, I've gotten to know the guys quite well and their technology pretty well, and I found it a really exciting development. And I've also come to realize and understand the challenges that we face in uptake. And we need to do a lot more to be encouraging clusters of activity, the encouragement of this kind of innovation that improves utilization of land, reduces resource intensity, ups our capability in these critical areas. And they've faced a lot of challenges, and we're going to have to think a lot more about how we promote innovation, make sure that the IPs in South Africa, insofar as that can be, that we're expanding these kinds of capabilities and linked capabilities, that we get more of it.
Thank you, Miriam. Hein,
Thank you.
Thank you. As a farmer and a consultant, I mean, you work in the citrus industry, and the industry has had a very good run. What have been the technological developments that you've seen in the industry that has complemented and supported profitability, and how do you see technology such as aerobotics play out in the future?
Okay. Yeah, I think one of the very important technologies that has increased profitability is technology surrounding plant material and genetics, technologies focusing on producing new cultivars and varieties. So some of these varieties have enabled us as producers to really be a lot more profitable. And then also new technologies like precision farming, of which the Aerobotics platforms and technologies forms a part, has been instrumental, if I can refer to differential amelioration, applying exactly what is needed, where it is needed, as opposed to just blanket applications. And then also the use of soil moisture probes, which is a very useful tool if it is set up correctly and used correctly. It has a massive impact on yield. Irrigation has a massive impact on yield. So optimizing that, and also in the type of situation we found ourselves in the last while with water scarcity, that's a crucial technology. And then also something like like the use of drone for to create NDVI health maps, to be able to investigate and have a lot more of a targeted approach to address issues before they can cause economic loss. But then also existing issues in orchards, areas in orchards that are they've got low production, and these areas are not always visible with the naked eye. So if you walk through it, it looks kind of similar. Maybe it's an area with smaller fruit size, less yield. But when you investigate it and you do a thorough investigation after detection using drone technology and an orchard health map, you can really delineate this area, investigate it, address it, and then it has a massive impact on yield if you succeed in addressing that problem area.
Hein, do you see that aerobotics and the use of drones is going to be a hard sell in the industry or not?
Well, from personal experience, we've gained a lot of value out of it. So I think it sort of speaks for itself. But what is important is to start getting exposure to this and to start adopting these technologies. They are new, to some extent they are strange, and then also it's something else to add to your management. And it takes more time. It takes some effort. To get used to these technologies, to almost practice how to use them, how to interpret the data that you are getting. But as soon as you get comfortable with that, it becomes a very easy tool for you to use to address issues and to increase profitability and yield, which at the end of the day is where we want to go. And I think that in itself sells the product.
John, you're a banker. You're in the business of managing risk. I'm sure that this sort of technology is exactly up your street. Anything that can minimize the risk for a farmer, make them more bankable. I mean, how is this technology going to impact on the way you guys finance farmers?
Yeah, thanks, Chris. I think what has been quite clear to us is that, and Hein made mention of this as well, that technology and the take-up of technology by farmers has really helped them sort of combat that cost price squeeze. So over time we've seen a cost price squeeze playing out, and farmers have had to really adapt to this, and one of the ways is taking up new sort of technology. That, and also growing their farm sizes, economies of scale, and so on. So I see this as part of the step in terms of this process, and precision farming was kind of the start of it, and we know it from the maize sector in particular, where they've used this for some time, and now in the tree crop space, I think this is fantastic news. But just to add to that, Nedbank has a stake in this business, as you know, But more importantly for me is the value add to the farmers. If there's value to the farmer, then there's value to us as a banker and to the whole value chain. So whether that's the processor or the input suppliers or, there's a whole range of people. And what's really exciting for us as a bank is that we've been, I guess, quite good at looking at historical financial performance. So we look backwards, we look at part of our risk assessment. What we sometimes struggle with is the qualitative information. And qualitative information like this in terms of aerobotics, so, Orchard Health, the scouting tool, starts to talk to us about management, better practices, and certainly what's quite exciting for us in terms of sustainability is not only financial sustainability, but the environmental sustainability as well. So that starts to come through, and there's a whole lot of spin-offs there. I know the scouting app doesn't necessarily target water use, etc. But if you look at water, energy, and soil health for that matter, I'm pretty sure that this in time will start to just build a bigger picture and to start to reduce the risk for us as bankers. Certainly we want to see our clients be sustainable into the future. That cost price squeeze effect has been an issue, and it's going to continue to be an issue. So I think the adoption of this type of technology, which we're really excited about, is going to go a long way towards giving us better information in terms of risk assessment.
John, if you look into the future, do you see a future where one day using this technology will be absolutely critical for farmers to be financed by a bank?
Yes, I do. And we see that actually playing out at the moment. There's no doubt in my mind, and we go through the risk assessment process, and therefore we actually differentiate our lending accordingly. So the lower risk farmers actually then get better or finer rates in terms of interest rates. So I think there's that connection as well, that if we as a bank are happy with the risk, it means that the client actually gets a better deal as well in terms of better interest rates, finer pricing on his loans. And what we need to bear in mind is that, as bankers, yes, we do short-term funding, and in time we're hoping that the crop yield projections will help sort of validate cash flow projections that their clients bring to us. But more importantly is that we lend for 15 years. So if we're looking at a capital program where a client is planting citrus, for example, with no return for 4 or 5 years, and then the return kicks in, break even is, let's say, 8 years, and our funding period is 15 years. We need to know that client is sustainable for 15 years hence, So it's a long time period. And I think this information starts to talk to us about that and looking at taking a longer term view as well.
Thank you. Janse, we all know, especially in the Western Cape, where we've just come through a bad drought, we know the challenges that we face in South Africa as far as natural resources are concerned and the management of natural resources, and especially the diminishing capacity that we have within the state. As part of Agri-SA, what natural resource management aspect keeps you awake at night? If you look at everything from water to the impact of coal mining, and how do you think this sort of technology can help us manage the situation better?
Thanks, Chris. Yes. When I was thinking about joining this panel discussion, I had a sense of what the question might be, and the answer would naturally be coming from the Western Cape, water, particularly the drought that we've gone through in the last 3 years. But I've adjusted my answer a little bit following our discussion. It's the absence of information that we have to be able to manage drought, pests, disease. In the Western Cape, we've had a very fortunate situation with organised agriculture having the facts and figures at their disposal, available to present to government, to stakeholders, to financiers, to insurance companies, to be able to quantify the risk, quantify the damage, and prepare accordingly for the mechanisms that could mitigate at least the disastrous consequences of the drought in particular. In Agri-SA, we have an overview of what happens all over the country, and in the Western Cape in particular, as a role model, I think that was an excellent example of how that information actually assisted farmers in getting the assistance that was available to them in the best manner. For agriculture, I think the future of agriculture is the applicability and the application of agri-tech to be able to farm more efficiently, more sustainably, to ensure food security, and then very importantly, also it being in an equitable and inclusive economy. And that makes me so excited about seeing what Aerobotics is doing now with packages that are available free of charge, at least at the entry-level packages.
Thank you. Miriam, I know that you've got some time constraints, so just to get back to you, there's been a lot of talk in how technology can help the leapfrogging of development. And we know that the National Development Plan hasn't progressed as rapidly as we had hoped. How do you see, are you hopeful that technology will help us to accelerate our development trajectory, and are there any specific technologies that you think that could help us along the way?
New technology is going to replace the need for the right regulatory structure, the right amount of infrastructure in place, support mechanisms. There's no doubt about that. And we all know that those kinds of policies, farmer support and so on, are not progressed as they needed to. But instead that, I would hate to refer to any particular technology. I think the issue is that we need an environment that is conducive to the development of this kind of technology, AI, digital kinds of capabilities that do what Aerobotics is doing, start getting to predictive capability, which is where this can also go. I heard a little bit of what the person from NetBank, and I can't hear much of what's going on that side, unfortunately. But I think that starting to get to predictive capability is going to be very important. Starting to create clusters of activity that enable more of these technologies, adoption here, continuous learning is going to be really critical. And we can say that environment is stronger in Stellenbosch maybe, but nationally it's not strong, and we need to do something about that. But I don't think the issue is about one particular technology, because this area is evolving so quickly. It's going to also be about how our capability to adopt the technology. And that's a little bit a lot of my conversation with Aerobotics, is about the human interface with what they've got.
Thank you. Hein, as a farmer, citrus farmers especially, they face a unique challenge. From the consumer side, there's an increasing demand for lower chemical inputs. On the other hand, importing countries use phytosanitary aspects as a trade barrier. How does one find the balance between those two? And do you think technology has a role to play there?
Yeah, sure. I think the priority in this situation is to export. So that's what we focus on. And then I think the low residue demand, or the demand for fruit with low residue, that's come to stay, and that's the direction that we're moving in. So I think in setting up your own plan or your marketing plan or your strategy, I think it's very important to focus on that as a possible advantage, and then to focus on and to aim for the specific markets which have stricter requirements, so that you can also get the premium on that fruit. Often the consumers are willing to pay more for that fruit. So I think the first prize is to embrace all of the technology and new products driven by technology, to embrace those sort of biological products with a softer approach that are more sustainable as well, and to try to produce really low residue fruit for these markets. And then also, we need to sharpen our practices on the farm, like sanitation, for instance, and we need to focus our management in such a way that we enable these type of new products that are more biological, zero residue products, so that they work in the environment that we try to create. And then at the same time, it's not an option to produce fruit that has phytosanitary pests. So we're trying to go for the low residue, and we have to go. Our fruit has to be free of phytosanitary pests. So I think that's our first prize. And if we don't make it with the low residue for that market, then we can go for more general market. And I think in such a case, then we just divert to a different market, and we shouldn't see that as a failure, because we need to keep on trying to expose ourselves to the new products, to the new demands of the consumer, and align ourselves with those goals. And from the using it as a trade barrier side, I think it's important that we show cooperation, that we show a good attitude, and that we work together with the industry bodies that work hard to put systems in place like Fight Clean. And we shouldn't try and jippo these systems or circumvent them. We should really show compliance and prove compliance, and show our willingness to comply to the phytosanitary pest scares that might exist in the market. I think that's
about it. Are there any questions from the audience at this point? Anyone that would like to ask a question? Not yet. John, drones and the use of drones, the use of technology, it all goes about the sustainability of agriculture. We all know that Nedbank has a long-standing partnership with the World Wildlife Fund South Africa, which looks at sustainability in agriculture and in ecosystems. How has that partnership impacted on the sustainability of farmers at farm level?
Yeah, thanks, Chris. I think the partnership with the WWF obviously spans back 25 years in terms of the Green Trust. But more recently, the last 8 years or so, we've been a sponsor of the Agricultural Sustainability Program, where we focus specifically on water, soil, and also energy. And more recently, food waste is becoming a big issue, as is treating of wastewater, etc. And I think for quite a while, the WWF has always taken a lead on this. And initially, the farmers might have been a bit skeptical about what were their sort of intentions. But I must say, in the last 3 or 4 years that I've been working very closely with them and with farmers, WWF really understands that financial sustainability is part of the solution. So you can't have sort of the environmental sustainability without financial sustainability. So I think that sort of realism has come through, which is very, very pleasing to me. So we're looking at solutions that work for all stakeholders. And so our more recent work in terms of water and also energy have yielded really good results, where it's not only the awareness down to farmers about the better use of water, but it's also looking at the total catchments, for example, from end to end, and what is the impact throughout that, whether it's farmers, local communities, or the man in the street who lives at the end of a flood line. So I think the WWF, there's a really good fit here with this technology as well, because we're all aiming for the same solution, which is a healthy planet. And what's important to me, even as we look at land reform as well, is it's not, yes, it is about the land and the transfer of land, but it's important that the land stays healthy and also productive. And I think that's a key thing that the WWF stands for, is a healthy planet, and ensuring that our natural resources are in a good state. Because if we don't look after them, we're going to battle. And I think this technology has a very good fit with that. And sure, it's still new, it's still sort of developing, but I see some good potential going forward in what Nedbank is doing, WWF is doing, and the likes of sort of Aerobotics as well. And then Janssen Agri SA as well, in terms of their centres of excellence, natural resources as well, is a very important partner in the bigger context as well.
Janssen, just to get back to you, when you drive down the Olifants River Valley from Ceres, and you look at the citrus plantings that have been made, I mean, we're going to need water for this. We know that water legislation is relatively fluid. I mean, if you pardon the pun, if you would look into the future, where do you see the legislation around water going, and what is the thinking on an official level? What is the final goal that is trying to be achieved?
Yeah, that's a $1 million question. the future of the legislation, I think, shouldn't be going anywhere. I think we have excellent legislation that just needs to be applied properly. We need to make our water law work. It's the simple end and beginning of it all. Government is taking a strange look at water law, I think. I think water is going to be used as the mechanism to achieve social transformation more. Agriculture is always referred to as the user of the lion's share of water in South Africa. It's not true. We actually get the hyena's share of water in South Africa. When everyone else has taken their share, urban, industrial, then agriculture gets its bit. And we have to make do with less to be able to do more, because agriculture has to feed the country, and it's a growing population, a growing economy, and a growing region in all of that. So on the future of the legislation, I think we should help and assist and encourage government to not be fiddling with legislation, in the same sense that we should be encouraging government not to fiddle too much with property law. But from the agricultural side as well, we have to make sure that we use our water more efficiently, that we measure and meter and know what it is that we're actually using, and then also make sure that we reach out and create an inclusive environment for agriculture to flourish. And that includes changes in attitude and behavior, obviously all ties in with what government is talking about now. But in the long run, is it what is required for a sustainable, viable, and a productive, happy agricultural society in South Africa.
Months putting together, it's an excellent show. And to the panel there, it's also very good. I'm Nico Ace from Go Bio Farming. A couple of things, John. You did an excellent thing of marketing WWF. Not just Nedbank is not just about net geld, it's also about the soil. I think that's a very good point. I see the tie between the drone technology and everything that they showed today between the soil health. I think that's the one we can't undercut today. So good for tying those things and supporting from WWF as well. I just think the rollout in this industry is much better for the farmer, but the producer that doesn't train his staff, that doesn't upskill them, that doesn't fall in line with this is the one that's going to stay behind and lose out on the process. So great for the bigger ones that are seeing the benefit in it, and we can only go ahead. Well done, team.
Yep. Thank you very much. If there are no more questions from the floor, we will close the panel discussion. Thank you very much, Hein, John, and Janse. Thanks for making the effort for being here. And once again, to James and his team, congratulations on the wonderful event, and we wish you all the best in the future, and we hope to see you next year here again. Thank you very much.
Right, thank you very much. Thanks, guys, for the panel, and Miriam and Joburg. That was awesome. We're now going to ask Andre Geldenhuys, the Divisional Executive for Nedbank's CIB in the Western Cape, to give a few closing remarks, followed by Wayne Lowe, the Security Manager at Daisy Business Solutions, and then we will be on to the prize and nearly done. So, Andre, over to you.
Thank you very much for the kind introduction. May I just on behalf of Nedbank say thank you for the opportunity to say a few words in closing here. And I think at the outset to the team, James, Benji, I think up in Joburg, the rest of the Aerobotics team, certainly very proud of our association and on the prospects of Aerobotics going forward. It's quite a difficult act to follow late on a Thursday afternoon, standing in the winelands here on a beautiful spring afternoon. So I'm acutely aware I'm standing at this stage between you as the audience and a nice cold glass of Chardonnay, so I'll try and keep it short. I think, firstly from Nedbank's perspective, often the question, why our association? I think if we take our industry, we've been largely affected by disruption across our entire product and value chain, and the response to that was really let's embrace it, embrace the change that artificial intelligence and technology bring through initiatives like this. And I think today we stand very proud to say that, other than, as John mentioned, they're an equity investor, but also a sponsor to major initiatives in this space. I would like, in closing, just to say to the team that certainly on this journey for the future of farming, We very much look forward to working with you and with our clients represented here and across the country. Enjoy the rest of the afternoon. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Tim, thank you very much for this fantastic event. My name is Wayne Lowe. I represent Daisy Security Solutions. Now, it's quite a sensitive subject, isn't it? We all know farming and security at the moment in this country is on everybody's lips. As a broad brushstroke, what we're doing as Daisy Security Solutions, we're attacking farming security as a holistic approach. So what we'll do is we're looking at the common problems that's not unique to a single farm, and we're addressing it. We're doing that by using long-range thermal technology. So we'll start at your perimeter. We'll bring in different layers of technology as well, some of them being drones, beams, all the things that have been proven to work in the field. What makes our technology different is that it's also using smart analytics. So what this analytics does is it'll differentiate between humans, vehicles, animals, and any other nuisance alarm that you'd pick up with standard technology out in the field. What that means for you is confirmed threats or confirmed intrusions on your property. We want to stop these guys before they even get onto your property, hence the term early warning detection systems. So I'd like to invite you, just before we go to lunch, pop to the back. We can have a quick chat. I can show you some of the technology. We've got a few cameras set up. And if you'd like to know anything more or anything specific, please feel free to speak to one of the chaps in the back or myself. And I'd look forward to meeting you. Thank you very much.
Great. So the last thing we have to do on a national level is award a prize so that we let everybody know that we would be giving away a seasonal aerobotics drone package, so 3 flights per year, up to 200 hectares, so it's valued at 100,000 Rand. And based on everybody who's attending, we have selected a winner. So, and the winner is Taste Put Heater from Hartswater. And then, yeah, so he'll get that in Hartswater. I'm going to hand back to the... I'm going to hand back to the local venues now to do some closing, and then we'll close out here in Franschhoek. So the local teams will take over. We also have a prize here in Franschhoek, valued at 25,000 Rand, so a seasonal package for up to 50 hectares for one of the farmers who's here. So Peter van Tonder, I don't know where you're here somewhere, hopefully in the back. Peter, are you here? If you can come to the front, we'll shake your hand. Cool. Thank you very much. Well done. Okay, and now we're gonna break for lunch. Media, there is an opportunity in the boardroom across there to chat to James, John, and Jansa. So you can get more questions and more one-on-one time with them. If you do have any questions at the moment, James and I are happy to answer them as well. Otherwise, we're going to go and head through to lunch. Don't know if there are any other questions before we break. Yeah, we've got one over there.
Hi, just a quick question. The farming my company is involved in is a little different, but we've engaged with farmers on the land for the last number of years in that we're farming electrical energy from the sun. And one of the things, and the reason we're here, is we're interested to know whether Aerobotics has any intention of looking at thermal technology to do exactly what they're doing for the farmers for the solar farms, because it's also a very, very it's a possible option that we believe would do a lot for our operations and maintenance.
So I'm not sure if this works like this. I've taken it off my face. So definitely that's a big application, and it's interesting that we actually started doing that stuff as well. So we were doing work in the mining industry, security, solar panels, and agriculture. And we've just realized that focusing on a particular market, we can add so much more value to our clients. So definitely there's a big application for that, but unfortunately our company, we've got so much more to do in the agricultural space and so much more problems to solve there. So, yeah.
Cool. Any other questions? Got one there at the back.
Thanks. Just a very quick one. We all know there's a huge proliferation of netting. How does that affect Aerobotics business in orchards with netting?
Yeah, great question. So we've done quite a bit of work over the nets as well. Once the trees are above sort of 3 years old, we actually get really good data through the nets. So because we use this multispectral information, that sees through nets very well. The values do change. So the values of these NDVI layers that Hein spoke about are a bit lower because the nets are in the way, but we still get the data. On the drone scouting side, we're not quite sure how we're going to handle the nets at the moment, but the obstacle avoidance is moving so quickly that we'll be able to go under the nets quite soon.
Cool. Okay, great. So I think we're going to break for lunch now. Media, there's the opportunity to chat to the guys in that room. Everyone else, I think lunch is served and definitely drinks. Thank you very much for attending.